Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Wednesday Night Shooting. I'm Tonya Rodgers here with Andrew M. Swift, and this is the end of the year awards, the first annual end of the year awards, and the year is for 2016. We're talking WWE strictly, but we're talking WWE as a whole. And in some of these categories, we're going to be including NXT. But NXT, Raw, and SmackDown also have their own awards. So we don't need the Slammys. We're going to try to plow through this because when you look at it, because I've written it all down, there's a lot. So I can understand why there wasn't a Slammys. It really wasn't feasible. They probably didn't want to break the brand split.
Oh yeah.
So if they're going to do it, I would rather watch the Slammys than the Hall of Fame. But I understand, if they could cut the Hall of Fame shorter, be cool with airing them one after the other. Maybe, I don't know. But WWE doesn't know how to do anything short. So let's start with the match of the year for WWE. Now, I know, Andrew, you're going full calendar to calendar.
Yeah.
And it's freeform. I'm going to be a good little WWE mark and go with the list that they had. Out of that list, we're just going to call out some. Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens, last man standing at the Royal Rumble. The Revival versus American Alpha, Takeover Dallas. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, Takeover Dallas. Charlotte versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch, WrestleMania 32. It's Chris Jericho versus Cesaro versus Kevin Owens. The number one contendership for the WWE World Title, Raw Mania. The Miz versus Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens versus Cesaro at Extreme Rules 2016. Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles, Extreme Rules 2016. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, Battleground 2016. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. We're going to take that one off the list. I'm just going to let you know that.
Yeah.
The Revival versus DIY, Takeover Brooklyn 2. Kevin Owens versus Big Cass versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, Universal Championship match, Raw, August 29, 2016. Kota Ibushi. I'm bad at
Ibushi.
Ibushi versus TJ Perkins, Cruiserweight Classic. Sheamus versus Cesaro, Best of Series 7, Match 7, Clash of the Champions. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte, Raw Women's Championship. That was October the 3rd, 2016. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz at No Mercy. I'm going to also include DIY versus Revival. 2 out of 3 falls at TakeOver Toronto. And Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Falls Count Anywhere match. If we're talking overall, the whole company, my match of the year, the match that got me all kinds of emotions in and out and pulling all over the place, was the Revival versus DIY NXT Championship match at TakeOver Toronto. That was the best match of the entire year. But to go main roster, because we're going to be talking about that a lot. If you take out NXT, I would go AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules. And I'm going to explain why. Vince McMahon was not sold completely on AJ Styles, who this short little dude from TNA is, but he brought him up on the roster. He debuted him at the Royal Rumble. And you can go back and check because I did Cagesiders Speaks for the Royal Rumble afterwards. And they were like, who else could win the title with Triple H? I said AJ Styles. It was my first answer. I wanted him to win the title. Night 1. in WWE. He is now the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He's been the best champion they have had the entire year. And the reason why Vince McMahon turned over SmackDown Live to AJ Styles is because of his feud and these series of matches he had with Roman Reigns. Still some of the best, like, nuanced heel babyface type of thing that I have ever seen. And just the promise, like, I swear to you guys, everyone that's listening, if they let Roman Reigns be the guy he was against AJ Styles, they just let him be that asshole and beat the shit out of people, nobody would complain about any match he's ever in, because that shit was lit and on fire and the best main event men's match, period. Okay. So what's your match of the year?
My match of the year is also the Revival versus DIY at TakeOver Toronto. I think the way it built on their Brooklyn match, which also might be in my top 5 in all honesty as well, is just really good. And like, I don't know, for some reason, like every near fall in both of those matches after like the first 5 minutes of both the matches was just like, this might end it, you know, like for some reason it was just, the crowd was just so into them, and like every move, everything came off so well. I watched the Toronto match like 4 times in like a day and a half, because I was just like, this is so good. This is exactly what I want to see out of pro wrestling. And I was really happy to see like tag team wrestling get, you know, some real quality out of tag team wrestling, because that's been something that's been overlooked for a number of years, especially in WWE, and it's great to see that it's picking up again. If we're going just main roster, this is the beginning of my takes. I am gonna go with, for WWE main roster match of the year, I'm gonna go with The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler from No Mercy, career versus title match. And I understand the reasoning. I just watched Reigns Styles from Extreme Rules like literally an hour and a half ago, and it's extremely good, and I absolutely understand why that would be a very valid pick. For me, it was, I'm not necessarily trying to say it was like the objectively best match of the year, but like for me, when I was a kid growing up, like all the stuff I cared about the most was always like Intercontinental Championship feuds, and always the guys fighting for that belt. So like seeing these two guys who like have been foundering for years, you know, like just kind of floating in and around and not really having any direction or purpose really in the company for a couple of years now. Just to see those two guys like go in to that whole feud with a mission, where like, we're gonna make this belt relevant, and then like they made the belt like the hottest championship in the company, and the way it culminated in the career versus title match at No Mercy was just, I thought it was perfect. Like bringing, like, it was the quintessential like babyface overcomes. Like it's one of the most quintessential pro wrestling matches like you can imagine. Like all this cheating, the wife is cheating, like the Miz is cheating, the Spirit Squad is interfering, like everything's going on, and he still keeps kicking out. I think he kicks out of like 2 or 3 skull-crushing finales in spots where it's like, oh, this is it. Like, this is clearly it. And he keeps kicking out. And in a way that the crowd, like, every time was like, just, like, going into the match, they're like, okay, whatever. They didn't really have big feelings for Ziggler because, you know, it's Dolph Ziggler is Dolph Ziggler. And he is what he is. But, like, by the end of it, by, like, every time he started kicking out of big spots, it was just like, more and more people were getting into it, and they were just red hot for like the end finish. And I watched that match a bunch, and I love it to death. And I think that would be my main roster match of the year. a very close second. And I had to convince myself. Actually, I didn't have to convince myself. I told myself I couldn't put this as number one because it would start the markdom too early in the show. A very close second was the Falls Count Anywhere match from the November 28th episode of Monday Night Raw. I think of all the great matches that have happened this year, and there have been a ton of really great matches this year, I think that one will be remembered maybe more than any of the others. Not necessarily like it was the best of them, but I think it's more memorable. And I don't know, just everything was about it was good. The commentary was great. The crowd was great. Like there's like after when Sasha first grabs the kendo stick out of under the ring, and Cole sells it as like, he's like, guys, Charlotte has no idea, but Sasha has, and like he's about to say Sasha has a kendo stick, and then she just starts fucking wailing on Charlotte, and it was just like, and like really wailing, you know, these are no like usual kendo stick shots. She was going at it, and it was just like, oh, this is fire. So that match like has a very, very special place in my heart, and that is a very close second to the Intercontinental Championship match at No Mercy.
Yeah, those are both very good picks, Andrew. And yeah, I'm gonna say, like, every match that I mentioned, I liked them. You know, I had no really big complaints about them. There was some very good wrestling going on in the Fed.
Yep.
This year. So, of course, with every up, there's a down. In, there's an out. Worst matches of the year. And we're not just talking about, you know, your regular TV matches. Who gives a shit? We're talking about these high-profile matches that were really bigged up. And they were stinkers.
I wonder what our possible joint answer will be.
Okay, so the nominees are, just for me. Okay, so, best gimmick match, just to throw that out. I'm going to go with the Royal Rumble for this year, just because I enjoyed it, even though, you know, what happened.
Triple H
it was a good match. Yeah, it was way structured out. What do you?
Yeah,
what
I
do you
would.
think?
I would agree. I would agree with that. I really like that the Royal Rumble pay-per-view.
So worst matches.
Yep.
Here we go. Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose, WrestleMania 32. Roman Reigns versus Triple H, WrestleMania 32. Jericho versus Dean Ambrose in the Ambrose Asylum match. What was that? Payback?
Whatever it was.
I think it's in some alternate universe that match is still going yet.
Probably.
It is. That's how fucking long and agonizing. And like the only thing that made me enjoy that match is I was watching with my kids, and the way they were just like seeing the match through their eyes was a trip. That's the only thing that made me enjoy it. Okay. Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins at Samoa Joe versus Nakamura at TakeOver Brooklyn 2 and TakeOver Toronto. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens at Roadblock.
Ooh.
End of the line. Charlotte versus Brie Bella at Fastlane. Charlotte versus Natalya anytime they met. Even in the tag match with Dana Brooks. All those matches are nominated as a collective.
As a collective? Oh, shit.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Nikki Bella versus Carmella.
Mm.
Do you have any matches you want to add to the list? Because I know what I'm just throwing out, like, you know.
I think that's that's pretty comprehensive. I'm certain that there's probably some other bad pay-per-view matches, like, but you know, does anyone really care that the Miz versus fucking Darren Young at Battleground was bad? No,
because everybody knew it was bad. Because first of all, Darren Young was going to be in the match.
Darren Young is terrible. Yeah.
And second of all, it wasn't. I'm talking about like these big matches that get all this attention and are hyped up.
High profile.
And it sucks and it disappointed you, and you're like, nah. Would you like to? Who is your winner?
Who is my winner? I mean, like, I think it's very possible to get too cute in this category and start overthinking the obvious choice, because really, and like, I feel like people listening, you heard it. I started giggling when you said it. The Ambrose Asylum match between Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose was just horrifyingly bad, and you know what? I kind of want to go back and watch it now just to see it again. But then I just know after I do that, I'm gonna be like, why did I waste 40 minutes of my life? Because it's like a 40-minute match. Yeah, it's obscenely long. 40 fucking minutes. It's so goddamn long. Oh, so yeah, that's my clear-cut winner. I don't think there's really an argument.
When you take a disinterested, recently failed a drug test, Brock Lesnar, in the ring with the Viper, Randy Orton, and then you tell fighter to shoot bust open the guy who's been helping carry your company for the 15 plus years. Just bust him open. Bleed out everywhere. Worst fucking match of the year. I'm still offended that somebody thought that was a good idea, and it's not okay.
Yeah.
And the fact that people, it's just a passing mention now, lets me know that it is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Randy Orton, super duper over now. That's great. Before him, but what's to say Vince doesn't get this idea again, but somebody else open? Fuck him up. Because Brock is somebody you shouldn't be telling to do that. You shouldn't be telling anybody to hit people in the head. This is not MMA. Shit to me. Okay, so we'll agree on yours though, because I got jokes aplenty for the Ambrose Asylum.
Oh man!
Going to the angle of the year, and the feud of the year, which is different. And my angle of the year is probably going to be yours. Your match of the year. My angle of the year is making the Intercontinental Championship great again. I'm digging that shit. And it's headed up by the one and only The Miz, who was, by the way, attempting to do this right when he came back with the stuff with Zack Ryder. It was just on SmackDown, he got so much more time. And then he did what he did with Daniel Bryan, and it took off. And he's been able to keep up that momentum. That was a while ago. That was a few months ago.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Going wrestling. Like, if that was the last even great thing The Miz did, he wouldn't still be getting the praise that he is getting right now. And so everything that's centered around the Intercontinental Championship since The Miz came back and came forward, and this is before the split, from WrestleMania till that is my angle of the year.
Ever since Maurice came back.
Nothing else comes close to it. Nothing else to me in this company. No other story or any of that, and that includes the women with Sasha and Charlotte. It's it could have been something, but it was just marketing. Like if you had given me women's history and women making history, I mean, and all this shit, and then on top of all this promotion, actually giving me a story and giving me something to like talk to and banter about, like The Miz and Daniel Bryan and even freaking Dolph Ziggler, who we laughed when he was drafted on we laughed at Dolph Ziggler getting the first title shot after the split from SmackDown. We laughed at that. It like we were giggling about it the whole show, the entire show. And Dolph Ziggler he played his role phenomenally well. He wasn't just happened to be there, and he has his faults. He's with but I think he stepped it up. And so, what's your angle of the year?
Yeah, we do indeed agree, and I took the angle of the year and the feud of the year to mean two distinctly different things. Angle of the year, I was thinking more on like the storytelling aspect, whereas feud of the year, like the storytelling aspect in kayfabe, like that was my thinking for angle of the year. But like feud of the year encompassed like a larger sort of context. So yeah, my angle of the year is literally, these are the words I have: revitalization of the Intercontinental Championship. Like I said before, like Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, like that stuff back in the day, like that was my favorite stuff growing up. So seeing that title restored to its proper relevance, it just warms my little Mark heart, like nothing else. So I definitely gonna put that as my angle of the year.
All right. So, okay. Worst angle of the year. The worst angle of the year. Wait for it. Refusing to tell the Shield story without Triple H. Seth Rollins was out and he was injured. When he came back, they cheered that sumbitch like he was from the Attitude Era. Like, I have been really down on Seth Rollins, like, for the second half of 2015. He went from being one of the guys I really wanted to watch. I was so happy when he cashed in at WrestleMania to, like, I would tune out. I would zone out when he was promoting. His matches were boring me. I was like, So when he came back and I got into it, and I was like, and then at first when he first started talking, everybody was like, "Oh, he's gonna still be here," and I was like, "Give him a chance, guys." And then he turned the crowd, and I was like, "Stupid! Why did you just have Roman Reigns with AJ Styles play up and act heelish if all you're gonna do is nothing with this story?" Because like as soon as Seth Rollins got injured, it wasn't a week later, Triple H was in Roman Reigns' face in London, in front of like with the London crowd, begging him to tell this man yes. My man. That doesn't to me seem like Seth was all that goated. As soon as he got injured, really, you couldn't wait a minute. The next week, the very next Monday. So the fact that when Seth came back, they didn't do shit about it. And I don't care if Roman failed a drug test. Obviously, Vince doesn't either. Because he came back like nothing. You really, if you really can't tell his position slipped because he fucked up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're just, this whole story is depending on Triple H. This is why I didn't want him to be the reason the Shield broke up. He's always got that in his back pocket. Every year he can come back and wrestle one of those son of a bitches at WrestleMania. Watch what I tell you. He's going to face Dean Ambrose next year at WrestleMania. And then he's going to get, oh, well, I've wrung that well dry. Let me move on. Because he's going to have at least 2 more years of this. So, like, the on-air character of Triple H. And the fact that it's the worst thing ever because he's not. The fact that he's not there. You like everyone used to be like, I don't want him on TV. He's ruining the story. He's off TV and he's still ruining the fucking story. It's ridiculous. What is your worst angle of the year?
Yeah, my worst angle of the year I took from what you said was what you talked about in the worst match of the year discussion was Brock Lesnar, MMA badass, shoot opening somebody because he's such a tough motherfucker, even though it was like, did he get suspended afterwards or before from MMA?
He got suspended. I don't know.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that they tried to make somebody like that instead of just blading was just disgusting to me. That might be like worst, promotional tactic or whatever. But for me, I just needed to put that out there like that. I couldn't believe that shit, like you said before.
Yeah, ew, gross. Okay, so let's move on to the feud of the year. Feud of the year is kind of obvious. It's AJ Styles and the club, which they served their only purpose thus far on the roster, being AJ Styles' bitch boys. And like, what? And this is another, like, whoever writes the show act like who did they get fired? As all while Roman was feuding with AJ, he was like telling people that AJ Styles was full of shit with his buddies, and Roman was right because what happened? He beat AJ and he moved on, and AJ turned on John Cena and started acting like an asshole. Where they didn't connect the dots. They just left that shit hanging out there. Sometimes it's just so many goddamn loose ends. But while they were in it, like Roman with the Usos, everybody will know I just need all three of them in black just beating the hell out of the roster every week. And I don't care who complains or doesn't like it. I really don't. I just want them to just kill everyone. And for a minute, like their 6-man tags were so fucking lit with the club, it didn't make any sense. It was just like they make a great team. And so, yeah, what's your feud of the year?
I wrote 4,000 words about my feud of the year. So if we want to go into it again very briefly, my feud of the year, surprise, surprise, was Sasha Banks versus Charlotte and their series of contests on Monday Night Raw and successive pay-per-views in the last half of the year. I think it'll stand the test of time more than any other feud. I don't necessarily think it was the best. I think most of the TV for it was awful. Was actively bad. Like seriously, it was so funny when I was writing that piece. I literally was just like, I was going through week by week, and then like a third of the way through, I was like, I'm not going through this week by week. This is fucking stupid. Like, there's no point. Because then I was going into tangents like, oh, now Dana Brooke is getting pushed, or now Bayley's getting pushed. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here with this shit? So I just narrowed it down, In the grand scheme of things, that feud, I think, will be remembered as the best feud of the year. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay. And I agree with you. You're right. I'm totally biased, and I'm giving Roman.
Oh, there's gonna be lots of bias tonight.
I'm giving Roman as many of these as I feed.
Oh, don't worry. I'm doing the same thing.
Next category would be Superstar of the Year, and that goes to anybody, any roster. as long as it's
As
WWE.
long as the Fed. Yep.
My pick, having his best in the world run right now, that is AJ Styles. It's my superstar of the year. He came in at the Royal Rumble and changed the game pretty much. Because, like, he was not in the plans for any of this. Like, I totally believe that there could have been a conversation with Ryback and somebody talking about him squashing AJ Styles. But that shit never went down, did it? The proof is in the pudding. Like, sorry to all you other guys who like want to be the man, but it's AJ Styles. There's nobody else on that roster who's full time that gets his reactions. He's a heel, but people love him to death. So much so that, like, Dean was doing better as like Roman's little buddy with crowd reactions than he was against AJ Styles. So much so that they had to go get James Ellsworth to try to get Dean Ambrose cheered. Okay. That was because of AJ Styles. Who is your superstar of the year?
All right, you ready for the takes to begin? The takes are officially beginning right now, folks. And that means I'm not picking the phenomenal AJ Styles for Superstar of the Year. And I am taking The Miz for Superstar of the Year. And I know it's a take, but I think context matters here a little bit. Like, AJ Styles, yes, was coming into the company. He was a fresh face to a lot of people, but also not to a lot of people. And yes, there's the story that, you know, Vince may not have been on super high on him until the series with Reigns. But even disregarding that, he was still rather clearly the best wrestler in the world, I think, entering this year. I think he won the, you know, Fez Flair Banks award for last year. So, you know, he had a pretty high resume and pedigree coming in. But, like, coming into this year, The Miz, like, people wouldn't even acknowledge that he was a good promo. Like, it took a couple of months into the year until people were like, yeah, Miz is actually one of the best promos in the company. You know, and people just be like, whatever, The Miz still sucks. And then after that was proven massively false over and over again on his talking segments, long before the brand split even began. Like, he did so much work in getting over AJ, especially when AJ was kind of foundering a little bit, and The Miz was doing his best. Yeah, he was doing his best on Miz TV to you know, make him something. And they had a really good TV match, I should note. And then his in-ring work, he's been, I think, rather clearly the second best in-ring worker in the company this year, because his television matches have just been good, so consistently, and his pay-per-view matches have been so good, so consistently. So there's a little bit of like I'm veering into like most valuable player status or whatever, but and versus like best overall. But I think the Superstar of the Year, The Miz, because without him, SmackDown Live isn't nearly the program that it is. And I understand you could say the same thing about AJ Styles, but AJ Styles is the headliner. He's the star. I had to change my word real quick there. He's the star. You know, he's the big name. But if that's all you have, like, yeah, that'll sustain a show like pretty well. But if you got another guy who is pushing him like neck and neck for like segments, like really, like who is the best was who had been on TV most recently. I think that makes a world of difference. And I think that little boost of context like puts him over the top for me. I think of the 5 best like talking segments of the year, for me at least, The Miz was the star of like 3 of them. So and he's cut like a bunch of other great promos besides those too. So I'm gonna have to go with The Miz. Like, I know, like it's really hard to argue against AJ Styles, and I absolutely understand like picking him first, but I really think that without Styles being Styles this year, wrestling would have been much worse. But without The Miz being The Miz this year, it would have just been emptier, I think.
Good argument. I'm still gonna go with AJ.
Yeah, as is everybody else on the planet, for sure. For sure.
Okay. The next one is the gimmick of the year. So we can just keep on putting over The Miz because that's my gimmick of the year. It was between him and AJ Styles and Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I was wondering. Okay.
They were the three guys. If I could give any woman the gimmick of the year, sorry people, I'm gonna have to go with Charlotte. She's one of the very few women who's actually got some character development done the whole year. Because some women have since the brand split on SmackDown. But Charlotte, just to see everything, and for me personally, you know, I told you this, the way she relates to her father is the way I related to mine when he was alive. So it's Miz and Charlotte. They're kind of neck and neck for me, but I'm gonna say the Miz just because it's just it's a whole different level than like it's so realized. It's so like this motherfucker was getting full on coward chance at him. Like he when he lost the Intercontinental Championship in your match of the year.
Yeah.
He came out in black in mourning, and like before he even said it, everyone knew exactly why him and his wife were wearing black. When he's happy and he's celebrating, he's in white. His wife has these little details, like she'll come out for Miss TV dressed one way, but if he has a match later on, she's in like her match gear. Like he was making an argument like Renee Young when he hosted Talking Smack, and he said they were like, "Who do you think is the best female wrestler?" And he was like, "My wife." What do you mean? He's like, "Well, she's not in matches." He's like, "Yes, she is. She's in Intercontinental Championship matches. What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" Like he has every single avenue, angle, possible way you can interpret his character figured out. He knows exactly how The Miz is going to react in any situation already. And shit, that's what you fucking need. And that's why it's so over, because The Miz knows exactly who The Miz is supposed to be. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On fucking Twitter, on YouTube, in the ring, on camera, at home. So, what's yours?
I kind of cheated in this category a little bit. I agree that The Miz has been a really good gimmick, but I guess you could say I deleted the rules for this category.
Delete.
Because I feel like, yeah, I feel like, I'm sorry, I have to.
You're right.
Right?
It's
like,
the truth, though.
Yeah. You know? Like,
all hell.
Of all the categories to break the rules for, this was the one I chose. And like Matt Hardy has done things. Yeah, Broken Matt Hardy has done things in wrestling this year that we just did not even imagine, and he's just keeps knocking it out of the park time after time after time and after time again.
You know what? Matt Hardy made me up my cable package so I could get Pop TV.
Wow, look at that right there.
He did. So I would not miss whenever it was on. I could just sit down and watch it. So yeah.
Yeah, Matt Hardy, like this is a shoot. I had literally never watched a single episode of TNA TV before the final deletion. Not a single one.
Wow.
That's a shoot. And then I was like, well, I got to watch this. And I don't have it. So I was pulling up crappy ass streams online and shit, you know? So like that guy has imagined a new avenue for professional wrestling. And I think it's an untapped world that's just being tapped into only barely. And there's a lot of stuff that can be played with, and I'm really excited about it. So I have to give it to Broken Matt Hardy.
Yes, you're right. And that's, yep. It's Broken Matt Hardy. So the worst gimmick. Okay. The worst gimmick of the year. Kevin Owens turning into Chris Jericho's ass-kicking best friend. Let me tell you guys a little story about Kevin Owens, aka Kevin Steen. When I heard he was coming to the company, I heard so much praise about him. I watched a couple of his matches and I was like, yeah, it seems like he might be a good fit, you know, sure, whatever. And when he had came into NXT, love with Kevin Owens, like sociopathic teddy bear prize fighter who's going to do and say whatever it fucking takes to get at the top. And then he came at John Cena, and it was so condescending, like, fuck you, I should have already been here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I was starting to wonder why it was that they kind of kept him in the mid-card. And, like, why they didn't pull the trigger with him the way they did with AJ Styles, because AJ came at John Cena basically the same way Kevin Owens did. AJ backed it up and beat him, where Kevin Owens beat him one time. That's when his first WWE match. He beat him. But so much has happened since then, it's hard to remember that. And I think there's a lot that you could do in the role that he has now, especially with a guy like Chris Jericho. I don't think he's fit for this. Either he's not fit for it, or it's like a case, and people are going to kill me. It's like the case of what Jim Cornette says. If he's not into something, fuck it. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. I think that's a lot of what I'm seeing right now. And I'm just very disappointed. I think he could be more. And I hate the gimmick that he has, but I also think that he could be playing it better. So, what's your worst gimmick of the year?
You know, it's interesting that you say Kevin Owens as like Jericho's best friend, because I feel like I would take a different avenue, but also have Kevin Owens as my worst gimmick. But having him so willingly accept the title being handed to him and immediately coming out in suits and stuff and literally abandoning his entire persona and characterization up to that from like day one, from his very first vignettes in NXT, you know, like they just abandoned all of that to just make him another, you know, tabula rasa, yeah, blank slate, Triple H endorsed chicken shit heel champion who can't win on their own and loses matches all the time. So like that's been really upsetting to see, and I feel like that needs to be called out.
Yeah, hard. You know what? There might be a reason Like Roman Reigns hasn't turned heel and he's still on Raw, and he's probably like, "Fuck!" You see what happens to dudes that turn heel on this show and they give him the championship? Fuck that! No, I'm winning my match clean.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So that might be a part of it. I always wondered that he might be the one shutting that shit down. Like, nope, not gonna be a Triple H lackey. Nope, not gonna do it. Okay, let's move on to the pay-per-view of the year. This is just main roster. Because we'll get to NXT, the takeovers of the year. And this is the one I was like, well, let me think. And it's hard for me because I enjoyed a lot of shows, but there's always something on one show or another that would like irritate me or something. I don't know. You say Extreme Rules. That was my show of the year. Just because I don't think anything that happened was that offensive. Probably aside from the Charlotte stuff, because I know she was feuding with Natalya, and that shit was horrible. But besides that, they had that kick-ass Intercontinental Fatal 4-Way and Styles and Reigns. Yeah. What's your show of the year? Pay-per-view of the year?
My show of the year, I want to give a special shout out to Battleground. It's not my show of the year, but being there for that show is really special. So I wanted to point that out. My show of the year is Backlash. My pay-per-view show of the year is Backlash. With AJ Styles winning the WWE World Championship or World Heavyweight Championship, whatever they were calling it at that point.
Rose is also there.
Yeah. Heath Slater, the payoff to that story, them winning the tag titles, that was awesome. There's a great Miz, Ziggler match. It was the first time Maurice used like the mace or whatever the hairspray was. Becky Lynch winning the title, and then there was also like a really good Corbin Cruz match on the pre-show. So that show to me, at the end of it, I was like, yeah, that felt like what a pay-per-view should feel like. I feel like right now is what I should feel like after, if not all pay-per-views, at least most pay-per-views. And so I got to give us a Backlash.
Okay, so this is going to split up. We're going to talk about Raw and SmackDown. We got a couple of more categories before we break up into the individual show awards, but we're going to do the TV show of the year for SmackDown. So you can go with yours first.
Well, Raw, I don't think it's any real contest what the best Raw of the year is. I think it has to be the Raw after Battleground, July 25th. The two Fatal 4-Ways, and then Balor Reigns in the main event, and the Women's Championship match. The debut of Braun Strowman's new gimmick. I think Nia Jax also got a squash on that show. So there was just a whole lot of really good stuff on that show, and I think it's rather clearly the best Raw.
Yeah, I would agree. That's my Raw of the year. My absolute favorite. So SmackDown of the year, what do you have?
This is much harder. And actually, I'm not going to lie. Right now, I have in 8 different tabs just different reviews I've written of SmackDown Lives. Oh, shit, which was the best one? I mean, there's been so many, including the one we just had. Come on. Yeah. How is this so good? The show's so good. But I'm not going to go with the most recent one. Because that might be, I mean, it was so good, but that might be a little recency bias there. I'm going to go with the one prior, though. I'm going to go with AJ Styles finally murdering James Ellsworth in 12 seconds with strikes and strikes alone. Like, that was just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Fucking Becky Lynch in a mask wrestling. Are you kidding me? How good is that? You got The Miz doing his thing with Renee Young. Like, oh, that was fire. Like, Natalya cutting a great heel promo. This show. Carmella, like, taking James Ellsworth under her wing. That's December 20th, 2016 SmackDown. There's been a lot of very good SmackDowns, but this was the first one that I literally couldn't grade because I said it was off the grading scale. So I think I kind of have to go with that one.
Yeah, I was blown away. I would also like to make some honorable mentions for SmackDown, where the triple threat was set up. John Cena pretty much ethered Dean Ambrose in Philly. That one. The episode where Miz did the video,
the documentary. Yeah.
That one. Those two also, I can recall. They stick out in my head. Those two episodes were very fun nights of wrestling. Okay. So let's move on to our next category. Championship of the year. The best championship of the year, without a doubt, is the WWE Raw Women's Championship. That's the championship that changed it. That they were like, and like, this wasn't a prolonged rumor. People were kind of hearing little whispers, but it wasn't like a big, well-known thing that on the day of WrestleMania 32, they were going to stop calling the women divas, and they were going to give them a women's championship. And from the first night, I at least kind of felt that something was going to be different about the way that they title or marketed their titles towards the audience. And they have gotten it to be that non-world title as main evented a pay-per-view. The Raw Women's Championship. There's no tag championships main eventing. The Intercontinental Championship main evented, but it didn't. But there were some times where Brock main evented for no reason. But other than that match, it wasn't going to be women in the main event. Not say that they had the championship of the year. Important. I guess you can make an argument for the Intercontinental Championship, which you probably will. But I gotta go with the Raw Women's Championship. So, championship of the year.
Yeah, well, I will make that argument because my championship of the year is indeed the Intercontinental Championship. There's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, there was the Raw Women's Championship and the Women's Championship. Like the first match, the triple threat at WrestleMania was great for the Women's Championship. That was great. And then there was like a almost 4-month period where it was, I guess, like 3.5 months. It was not good, to say the least, at all. Just bad, actively bad, in a bad feud with Natalya that went on forever. There was a screw job finish in that feud. I don't even know if anybody remembers that, but there was a screw job finish in which Natalya tapped out but didn't tap out, and it was Charles Robinson who was the referee. And then the next night on Raw, he came out and was like, nope, everything was above board. And then that was literally the end of the discussion of the screw job. It's like, what? Why wouldn't they still be complaining about it, though? So there's a lot of garbage stuff before the introduction of the Boss into the women's championship / Raw Women's Championship title scene. And I think if you look at the entire year of the Intercontinental Championship, we got that really good last man standing match at Royal Rumble between Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens. The match at Mania was fun, and then The Miz took it at Smart Mania and went from there with it. And like you said, the match at Extreme Rules was awesome. And there's a couple other really good matches in there, and then there was the Ziggler Miz feud for it. So I feel like in terms of looking at the whole year and in terms of like consistency, like I think the Women's Championship probably has a higher peak, maybe, but even still, it's not that much higher. But there was also really low valleys for the Women's Championship. So I have to give it to the Intercontinental Championship.
Okay, that's fair. I think we're going to disagree on the next one. Worst championship of the year. Dun, 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 dun. The Universal Championship. Daniel Bryan routinely mopped it. On its debut, the crowd shat all over it several times. My favorite was delete. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't have any other championships nominated. The Universal Championship, the worst championship of 2016.
Yeah, I don't have any others for worst. I will say I have one more for best, just because I have nothing to say about worst.
Yeah.
And actually, this is my second best. I have the Women's Championship as third best, actually. My second best is the NXT Tag Team Championships, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about more about that later, though.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to overrated and underrated.
Oh boy. Oh, here we go.
So we're going to talk about underrated first.
Oh.
Underrated is the proof is in the pudding for these last 2 weeks. Neville. What the fuck? Like he was not injured this entire year. He came out with this swagger, leaning into his accent, being a straight up beast. And if somebody don't give him his crown soon, he's gonna kill everybody. I need y'all to find it and give it to him. Cause he ain't motherfucking scary. So that's my underrated. Who's your underrated?
My underrated superstar of the year is I'm trying to talk myself out of saying it, but I know I can't. It's Sasha Banks. I'm sorry, folks. You knew I was going to say that, but like I was going to answer anything else. Like, she's clearly not the best politicker, but she makes wrestling must-see in a way that very, very few other people do. And her having total 3 title reigns for a total of 60 days or something, when the crowd has been banging for her to be pushed literally since the call up and been asking for her to be put on top and have not received that and have been told over and over again that her coronation is coming. It's still coming. No, it's still coming. No, it's coming. And it's never happened. And we've seen it in the ratings as well, as she keeps popping ratings numbers, unless you want to give all those ratings numbers to Charlotte, which also is a little bit confusing because then why are none of Charlotte's other feuds drawing? Yeah, this is where I start getting bitter. So I feel like she's a transcendental talent, and I don't feel like she's being treated by the company. And I think a lot of fans have I don't know. Maybe a lot of fans just can't see talent when it's right in front of them. Like, maybe that's it. But it's like, if you wonder why Charlotte has good matches with Sasha Banks and only Sasha Banks, there might be a reason for that. Just maybe be a reason for that. There might be a reason that Sasha Banks has literally all of the best matches, best women's wrestling matches in WWE history. Might be a reason for that. I'm just saying. It's possible. So if you're going to shit on Sasha Banks for not being like the best talker in the world, and granted, she's not a very good face promo. She's not a horrible face promo by any means, because if she was that bad of a face promo, people would tune her out entirely. And clearly that has not happened. But yeah, it's Sasha. It's so very clearly Sasha for me. And I know what the story I feel like I know what the story they might be trying to tell with her. And I get it. And I understand it. They were doing it really, really poorly, though. And I feel like I can say that with some authority because I am 100% convinced that I know the character of Sasha Banks better than literally anyone on the planet other than Mercedes Kesmet-Bernardo. That's a shoot.
Alrighty then, let's move on. Rated. Overrated for 2016. I don't have any other ones other than Chris Jericho. Okay, he put over Seth Rollins. He also got a visual pin on him in this match and dominated most of the match. But yeah, Zayn, he went over AJ Styles. Like, AJ Styles may have pinned him to become #1 contender, but who won at WrestleMania? Like, that's the most important thing. He's over. People are like, well, he's over. Yes, to the detriment of the entire main event scene. It comes out of his mouth that if you are a heel and you're getting cheered and the face is not, then you're not doing your job. That comes out of his mouth. He is a heel. He is the most overrated. And when I hear any talk of anyone else, and that includes Charlotte, because when we get to these Raw SmackDown awards, I'm gonna be doing a lot of Charlotte ass kissing in certain categories. She has improved greatly. I think she's holding.
That is true. That is true.
Holding her spot very well. I think she knows who her character is and how she's supposed to perform it. They were trying to get her to wrestle a certain style and be a certain way. They probably kept telling her to be like Ric Flair. And then she told them, fuck you, I'm going to be like Ashley Flair. And that shit is working for her. So her performances versus Jericho's, I cannot with confidence say that anybody in WWE is more overrated than Chris Jericho. He's supposed to be the top heel on Raw, and he's getting the largest pots. And it's not an AJ Styles situation where he's trying his best to get booed, being the biggest jackass, the biggest asshole. This motherfucker running around being cute. Everybody knows he's being cute. He's being rewarded for it. And he's hurting not only the faces he's against, he's hurting the very guy he's supposed to be helping in Kevin Owens. Okay, who's your most overrated?
I love how you put out a preemptive defense of Charlotte. I love that I know it's funny. All right, I will not say it's Charlotte. I will not say it's Charlotte because she's done a lot of good work, and even I have to acknowledge that. So I will say that her winning so much is not the problem, but the manner in which she words is absolutely absurd. Like that's the manner in which she wins and like dominates to that extent is a case for most overrated. But
yeah, you're correct. You're right.
But
You're right.
I can't give it to her because my most overrated person in WWE is Seth Rollins. And
Ooh,
I feel like for a guy that is still popularly perceived as like being a really good wrestler, I'm still waiting for him to have a good match. Like, I'm still waiting for him to have a match that made me go, man, I want to watch that match again and again and again and again and again. There's none. I don't have any. Like, he might get some like
not even a triple threat with him and with Cena, Rollins, and Lesnar. That's a good.
Oh, that was okay. That was a good match. That was a long time ago, though. That was a very long time ago.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 full years ago. Yeah. So
yeah, you're right.
Like, he, you know, I don't like the way people speak about him, and the fact that he gets all of these title shots, and I just don't see it. I just don't see why. Like, I don't know. Like, I wrote this is a sentence I wrote to fully justify not picking Charlotte. It is not exactly a fair representation of Charlotte, but I'm going to explain it when I say it. Charlotte is a much better version of Seth Rollins, and I'm not saying that in like terms of character-wise, but in terms of like getting a push, getting like a push that is not necessarily deserved. But Charlotte is way more deserving of her push than Seth Rollins is of his. He can't talk. He's like, you know what my favorite talking segment for Seth Rollins was this year? Him cutting a promo in an empty arena trying to act like Shakespeare. And I didn't like it. Seth Rollins thespian. I didn't like it because it was good. I liked it because it was absolutely absurd and hilarious. No, he's not a good talker. I have no idea what his character is. If his character is supposed to be like smarmy little shit who we are supposed to cheer just because people don't cheat for him now, what the hell is that character? That's the worst character of all time. And, you know, his wrestling, like, he can do some flippy shit. Cool. Lots of people can do flippy shit. They can also draw me into their matches, like invest me emotionally in their matches. You can't. So sorry, Seth. It's you. As a fellow Iowan, I'm very disappointed in you this year. I know you're disappointed in Brooklyn, but I'm disappointed in you, Mr. Davenport.
Fire. Okay. So, with that, who do we think is going to be, as from the company as a whole, a breakout star of 2017? Who do you have, Andrew?
Can I say one thing first? The second person on my most underrated list, and this is going to pop you, is Roman Reigns. I just wanted to say that.
Well, see, I wasn't going to say he's underrated because he's in a spot fully ill prepared for. Like, if you would allow him, I used to watch him in the Shield, and like even watch him like on the apron interacting with fans as a heel, and like he acted way different. And I just feel like every time he comes out, he has to have this like face on. And everybody knows that, and like everybody can feel that. And every once in a while, when he lets that face go, but no, it's just him. He sucks.
He can't wrestle.
He can't talk. He's trash. He just looks good. He's just pretty.
I think he's the best talker in the Raw main event program.
He is, but
like I know, and people will say Jericho's the best, but here's the thing: Jericho is ruining the angle by his words. So how could you call him a good talker? I don't know.
Okay,
Just saying,
let's get back categories. Who's the breakout star that you
of this year on Raw?
No.
Is that what we're doing first? Oh.
Next year, who you
Oh,
think
2017 breakout star. Okay. I'm going into NXT. I literally saw, I called for you to add this category like what, 2-3 hours ago? 2 hours ago, I was watching NXT, and I saw again a match with this woman in it who I've seen in person before and absolutely blew me away in the match she had in the suburbs of Baltimore, Maryland, wherever the hell that was. Bacon will probably remember. And I think she's got, at least right now, the highest upside of anyone in NXT's women's division, other than maybe Nikki Cross. And this person is Peyton Royce, who I think has a spectacular look, is really technically sound, and I think she's like got a really good thing going on with her character work in terms of like her as the BF, like her and Billie Kay as the BFFs, 2.0, the icons, as you will. They have a good dynamic going, but I really think Peyton's dynamic is very reminiscent. It reminds me, and of course this is gonna pop me. It reminds me of early Sasha Banks in the BFFs with Summer Rae. Just like her over-the-top arrogance, but when you push her a little bit, she'll like back down immediately, and she'll like try to hide because she's clearly like it's a front. So I got to go to Peyton Royce. I really think that if she's given the ball to run with, not necessarily the title, but just like an extended program in NXT, I think she can put on some really good stuff next year.
Well, I was going to stay in NXT because my new little obsession is the star of Sanity, Nikki Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Honey Child is on a whole different level. Like, motherfuckers is playing checkers and she is playing chess. I see what you got. I am so in love with her in such a short period of time. And like, I can't wait for them to let her loose. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I do think she should be the one to take the title off Asuka. And I think it should be sooner than expected. I would do it, honestly, next month.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't think they're going to do that, but I want them to.
Okay, we're going to hold our resolutions to the end.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Raw SmackDown categories.
Okay.
One is MVP of Raw. And the nominees are, for Raw, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman. And the winner is, for me, Sasha Banks. I'm going to explain why. Nobody cared about the Women's Championship. Charlotte didn't have any heat.
Why are you singing? I love this.
Because it's true. And then Sasha re-debuted again. And the third hour, when those ladies were the focus, the main events, unlike other third hours of Raw, Rose stayed steady, which means the people who watched said, you know what? Instead of tuning out, I'm going to watch this. So, and Charlotte didn't do that. I'm sorry. Sasha Banks did that. She's my MVP of Raw.
I absolutely agree with that argument. I had trouble. I don't know why I'm like touching myself. I had trouble. Because I'm very confused right now. I'm going to claim that's the cold medicine, folks. I'm acting up. I had trouble picking Sasha for this because she's been on Raw, but she's also been off Raw a lot.
What's the most enjoyable part?
I know. What's the most enjoyable part?
Raw. Sasha Banks.
There's no doubt. I love how you're trying to talk me into it because you know I want to say it, but I just want to appear less biased than I am.
Okay, who would you really pick out of Charlotte, Kevin Owens, Jericho, Reigns, and Strowman?
Can I pick New Day instead? Can I pick New Day?
Yes, you can, but ain't nobody.
But still, it's not like the way I said that clearly meant I wasn't serious. Yeah, fine, it's Sasha. Of course it is. She's must see TV. She's must see TV. That's what she is.
MVP of SmackDown: AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Dolph Ziggler. And then now we're pretty much talking about post-split here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you have out of this list?
Well, I mean, I kind of have to. I picked him for Superstar of the Year, so I kind of feel like I have to go with The Miz. I mentioned it in my case for him as Superstar of the Year. It really does have a most valuable player aspect. He's like the guy who, I don't know, he just makes that show. He just makes that show for me. Like all the talking segments and the matches. Like I know AJ has awesome talking segments and matches too, but just like, I don't know. I feel like The Miz is just the heart and soul. Like Talking Smack and SmackDown Live reached a new level when The Miz broke out with his promo on Daniel Bryan. And it became must-see at that moment. Both of those shows did. And that was him. So, and he kept it up. He kept doing it for months afterward. So I got to go with him. I got to go with Mike.
It's Mike Mizanin.
MVP
of SmackDown Live.
Mm-hmm.
Next category is the breakout star of Raw. And the nominees are Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Braun Strowman, Nia Jax, and Sami Zayn. Who do you have?
Well, I don't think I can pick either Sasha or Charlotte because they were established beforehand. They were too established beforehand to call them breakout stars, even though they've definitely elevated. I feel like they weren't coming from a low enough position to really give them this. And I kind of feel like the same way about Sami. I think the breakout star of Raw is the man who's going around beating up jobbers with Christmas trees.
Yep.
Multitasking, as he says. Like, it's been really weird to see Braun Strowman go from, like, last year just being, like, Gito making joke, like, nicknames for him. Like, that was the whole thing about Braun Strowman. And now, like, ever since the split, like, more and more of, like, wrestling Twitter has gotten into him, like, week on week, and to the point where, like, everyone just loses their shit now. And now there's a Twitter account, I don't know if you've seen this, that's literally, I think it's just called Man Yelling Braun. And all it is just tweets whenever he shows up, just like Braun and like a picture of him. And it's like hilarious. It pops me every time. So I got to go with that guy. Like he's made Raw a much better program than it was.
I agree. Braun Strowman.
And you were down on him.
I wasn't down on him. I just wasn't in love with him. The get-go. More than the gimmick for me. Mm-hmm. You have to perform in the ring, which brings us to breakout star of SmackDown, James Ellsworth. These are the nominees, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
James Ellsworth, Carmella, Baron Corbin, Alexa Bliss. And then I also put The Miz and AJ Styles, but we're just going to admit them because they're overshadowing the NXT and upstarts. So we're just gonna go with James Ellsworth, Carmella, Baron Corbin, and Alexa Bliss. I am going to have to say, out of all of those 4 people, Alexa Bliss is the champion. So she is my breakout star of SmackDown Live.
Yeah, that is who I have written down as well. Like we were saying it, if they just gave her time to talk, we were saying it from the very first weeks of the split. Just give her time to talk, and she'll get herself way over. And she is. She's getting pops now. Also, special shout out to Baron Corbin, who is definitely also in the conversation there.
But I think this whole category is way stronger than Raw's.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Much stronger. Okay, so is this next category, by the way. Best talker. On the Raw, the nominees are Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, Charlotte, New Day, and Stephanie McMahon. The winner is, for me, Charlotte Flair. She's come such a long way from talking and then all of a sudden just yelling for no reason and talking and then all of a sudden yelling again. She has learned how to use that to her advantage because she will still do it, but it will make sense most of the time because now she wants to emphasize something really strongly. I was like, okay, Charlotte, snap then. The only person I would come close is New Day. They're funny. They all can talk. They're all humorous. They're still over. The crowd still loves them. Longest reigning tag team champions, but yeah. That's about it. Who do you have?
Yeah, in terms of the people of the nominees listed, in terms of being able to like get an angle like going or over, I feel like it has, and like in the proper alignments, I feel like it has to be Charlotte. I don't think you can give it to Owens or Jericho because they're playing totally against type. Stephanie is like on once a month, maybe, you know. So if we're lucky, I know her burning CM Punk, you know, in Chicago is pretty good. And I was a little surprised, by the way, that she actually mentioned his name. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, it's got to be Charlotte. And I'm saying that a little bit begrudgingly. I'm not gonna lie because people have been making her out to be the best promo in the world, and she has improved massively. So I will absolutely give her that. And she, on form, can cut really good promos, but there's a lot of stuff that's not great in there. So
yeah,
sorry.
Best is you know, it's Raw. It's not a lot of good talkers on
No, yeah.
Best talker of SmackDown Live. The nominees are AJ Styles, The Miz, Becky Lynch, Daniel Bryan, and Alexa Bliss. Now, I know some people like, well, what about this? Listen, I could not put 20 people on goddamn list. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to go with like the best talkers, the people who have been pushing the narrative for the whole show, you know what I'm saying? And that's who I've come up with. I know, like, I was like, fuck, I cut Dean off. And that's the one I was like, damn. But it's 5 people already. So, and God, who do you have?
I mean, I have The Miz. And it's not to say that, I mean, it's really hard because I would literally take all of those people in that list, like, over anyone. And Daniel Bryan's on the list. I'd throw, like, I might make, like, Daniel Bryan / Renee Young, like, a joint selection. Like, just like as the host of Talking Smack. I think that would be.
Yeah.
I think that's because they play off each other so well. You know, like they're both really good, but their interactions are just really great. But I mean, like I said before, like 60% of my top 5 segments of the year are Miz talking. So it might be 80%. So, you know, like I gotta go with him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Miz TV is the only talking segment celebrity thing that should be a show. Nobody else should have a show but Miz.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else. Okay, so here's the next category, which we might have some words. This is the last one.
We're gonna disagree on this.
Ring worker of Raw. And the nominees are Roman Reigns, Cesaro, Sheamus, The New Day, and Sasha Banks. Okay. So I chose Roman Reigns. And this is why. Overall for the year, he's been there every week pretty much. Except for when he was suspended. That was like 4 weeks. And he's being asked to work these long ass main event style matches. Most nights, like even some nights when he's not really on the show, he just comes and does a talking segment or something. He'll have a dark match and he'll be out there wrestling 15, 20 minutes after the show is over with. He hasn't been injured. He has had good to great to sometimes excellent pay-per-view and TV matches. He dragged 3 men to get a match on the best match of the year list in the Universal Championship match. Nobody, like, if it had just been Kevin Owens, Big Cass, because come on, it's fucking Big Cass, and Seth Rollins, who in that match when Roman was down and could not control the pace and the action,
worked a headlock.
Roman Reigns, who's like, this is a multi-man match. WWE fans expect a big spot. I'm going to do the fucking punch on the outside, not the 220-pound, almost cruiserweight Seth Rollins. Not him. The heavyweight. He sold like a champ for a motherfucker, made Big Cass look like a fucking work. He made 3 people look like the shit. No, wait a minute. 4 people look like the shit. Because when Triple H came and pedigreed the shit out of him, he was done. He was over. He didn't move. He didn't even flinch like he was going to kick out. At that level, main event, it's hard, ask Finn Balor, not to get injured when you don't know how to take bumps correctly. And as far as, like, best in-ring worker means you're in that ring. Sheamus is injury prone, but God bless him, he has been there the whole year. New Day, they have kept up. Sorry, Sasha, you've been injured a lot, boo-boo. Cesaro was injured at the beginning of the year. Just going off of in-ring work the whole year, mixing averages, all this, that, and the quarter. Yes, I'm going to have to go with Roman Reigns. Who do you have for best in-ring worker?
I feel like the person I'm picking isn't the person you think I'm going to pick.
No.
I feel like the best in-ring worker for Raw this year, and I totally get the Reigns argument. I absolutely agree. And for me, he's hurt a little bit by the fact of who he's working with. Like there's only so much he can do to make Chris Jericho look decent, you know, or like there's only so many. I know. I understand. It's not on him. I know. Hold on. I know. Yes. Had his best match of the year. I agree. He had the best match of the year with Roman Reigns. I agree.
With Roman Reigns.
He also had several very mediocre matches with Chris Jericho because Chris Jericho was not very good. I'm not saying Roman Reigns is a spectacular worker. He literally, I almost put him first overall for my most underrated. I literally was very close to doing so. because of how good he is as a worker and how much people still shit on him for it. But I feel like when it comes to the work in the ring, somebody who continually, somehow still continually managed to impress me in new and varied ways. Someone who can work a great singles match, work a great tag match, you know, work a great multi-man match. And I feel like the level of his I just said it's not Sasha. The level of his in-ring work. Yeah. The level of his in-ring work is like so much above like the character work or promo work that he's capable of that I feel like it stands out a little bit more, which may be like an unfair advantage for him. But at the same time, like, I feel like when you get a Cesaro match, you're gonna be like, all right, this is a Cesaro match. I can see some pretty cool shit in this. I'm gonna pay attention. And I feel like he proves that every time out. Like, he keeps throwing on these hot tags now that are just insane. Just him running around the whole ring, uppercutting, doing somersault planchas and shit, doing 619s. Like, I gotta go with him. And I feel like he deserves some credit for his work. Like, Reigns is absolutely in that conversation. Maybe the correct choice, but I feel like Cesaro deserves some recognition for his work.
Yeah, and I'm also weighing in like factors of like how long they've been able to do it and not get hurt or not hurt. Like, I swear to God, the fact that I've never heard of him injuring Roman Reigns concuss somebody, and he doesn't like work a soft. He doesn't really work this soft style, as Daniel Bryan calls it.
Yep.
Him and Bryan were like busting each other in the face.
Yeah, that was vicious.
Yeah. Oh God, I would have loved to see like a full on like feud with those two. But that was the last category for that. Let's quickly like just run through NXT.
What about best thing in
best
SmackDown?
in work at SmackDown. Yeah, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, right. There's no why even.
I'm sorry. The nominees are AJ Styles, The Miz, Becky Lynch, Dean Ambrose, and Dolph Ziggler.
And the winner is AJ Styles. Moving on.
Okay, MVPs of NXT. The nominees are Bayley, Asuka, Samoa Joe, The Revival, which you reminded me about, and Finn Balor. I guess just because I feel like this person was the face of NXT and this person left the NXT got like, I don't even need to watch this every week. and that's Bayley. She's my MVP of NXT. NXT just, it felt different once. It was like she's for sure gone. So, but I will say that the Revival have picking up the torch. But I don't know, like, until they kind of make them more important than they seem. I don't know. It seems like they're just still in the like little tag team bubble, and they won't let them like main event or do more. Cause I like them, but I'm not interested in like half of the tag teams they're trying to put against them. So I just want Revival to beat these guys up. Who do you have for the MVP of NXT?
I think you gave it away when you said that I reminded you of them. I'm going with the Revival. I think in terms of I understand the argument for Bayley. I also, however, the thing is like her best work was in 2015. I mean, the Brooklyn 2 match, her farewell match was excellent. Really, really good match. And the match at Dallas is an underrated one. And she put on good work with Bliss and Jax as well. So, yeah, there's no doubt she did great stuff, but she was also off NXT for like two and a half months, like a significant period of time when they had like the storyline injury or whatever, so they could do the Nia Jax and Asuka feud for Takeover the End. And like the beginning part of the year, like the Carmella feud was good, but it wasn't like blow you away. And then the Asuka feud was just kind of happened. Like there was not really a build for it at all. So it's hard, and I know it's weird considering I probably wrote 10,000 words about her 2016 at least. But I feel like the Revival are the people who have me, like, if I hear that the Revival have a match this week on NXT, I'm going to tune in. And that has been the case pretty much the whole year. And their promos are good too. And they have like 5 match of the year candidates. So I got to go with those guys.
Okay. Match of the year for NXT. Are we in agreement that it's the
yes,
tag team?
We are. Yep.
Gimmick of the year is the Revival. Or because like who else does it care about?
I mean, Alpha and DIY are both, really good, but like there's a reason why they're like the Sasha Banks of the NXT tag team division. There's a reason why everyone has their best match with the Revival.
Right. Okay, so we can go to our well, let's do this. We can wrap up our thoughts for 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we're looking forward to and all that good stuff for 2017. I guess, let me start because I felt very low on WWE. I was like, I just didn't, like, I had to get it in my head, like, what you want for your favorite wrestler to happen, ever. So instead of, like, worrying about that, just enjoy what you can about him. Enjoy what you enjoy about him and leave all the rest of the shit that you cannot control alone. Just throw it away over there somewhere. Talk about it a little while and just throw it back over there. So if that happened and it didn't work, I'm not gonna lie. I still want him to turn heel. I still it still pisses me off. But like, I feel like I have some hope because I watched Monday night. He got real live 50-50 in Chicago. Loud, let's go Roman sucks chance. And the Roman sucks chance, I realize in like 5 to 10 years, they're going to be like, man, fucking Roman Reigns, motherfucker, he's all right. Like, yeah, you're too late. So I'm going to tell everybody, I like Roman Reigns now. Fuck you. That's probably what I'm going to start saying to people who've always hated Roman Reigns. I like Roman. Fuck you. That's what I resolved to do. Turns heel, don't you dare say you like him. I kind of feel like it may happen. I'm still gonna hold out hope, and that's who I am. I am optimistic. I'm also optimistic about the women. I know a lot of people are like, it used to be so much worse. I cannot get caught up. I'm too busy over here worrying about Roman Reigns to worry about the women. All I see is the good stuff with like, oh, they're main eventing and getting these big time matches. Well, it's only 2 women. 2. Okay, baby steps. Crawl before you walk, children. The same man still run this company. The fact that he's allowing it is saying a lot. I still always try to be positive. But the stuff I'm not gonna be like part-time is coming in here and part-timing it up and they fucking suck. They slow. Undertaker, if he is slow and he in the match sucks, I'm gonna say it sucks. Oh, I just want to look at him. Well, you know what? He should just be at fan conventions in his little Undertaker get up. Don't be wasting up time trying to wrestle when you can't anymore. Goldberg, if he sucks, I'm gonna say he sucks. He already, that glorious squash was because he tweaked his shoulder throwing a jobber out of the ring. He cruiserweight. That's you ain't gonna talk me out of rallying against them part timers because they are not helping nobody. They're not. John Cena's not a fucking part timer. He told everybody he's not. But those motherfuckers who just come in, get their little check, go over whoever, and then go home, they can stay the fuck home. And I'll still, always and forever, believe that. What's your resolution?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you in terms of part-timers. I think I'm actually like starting to formulate a thought about how WrestleMania is a problem in like its current construction. But that's for another time. My resolution, I have a couple of resolutions. The resolution that, like, you know, New Year's resolutions, like you'll make them and then you'll break them within like 3 days. All right, so my resolution that I'm going to break in like 12 hours is I resolve not to complain about Sasha Banks booking. So that is going to end before noon on January 1st of 2017. That's a guarantee. That's a shoot. That is absolutely happening. I want to step back a bit from, I want to look at, especially for SmackDown, since I'm reviewing it, I want to look at it more as in an artistic sense and less as like a narrative sense, which is hard to do when you're doing a recapping and you have to write it in like 2 hours, like immediately after the show. But that's my resolution. That's my goal for 2017, is to speak more about the art of pro wrestling in my recaps. So we'll see if that happens. But that's what I've been trying to work on the last like month and a half or so. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I think what we both are just looking forward to is some good ass wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown is giving it to us, and it's like Raw could. Like, it could be so easy. Just a few small little things, and they will be right back on track. They need to hire some better writers.
Yeah.
Like whoever is writing the show, and they need to be fired.
They need to be fired, like for real.
They're trash.
They're really bad. They like don't understand their own characters. They don't know how to script for people. Like they don't know how to write naturally for people. Like
don't know. They act like they don't know how real people talk.
How real people talk. Yeah, for real. Yeah. Like, yeah. Raw needs new writers. I'm convinced that you and I could do a better job writing Raw. Like,
I'm convinced too.
From our like abodes, like just typing shit on the internet, like we could totally do it.
I've enjoyed this. 2016. That's what everybody, like the first year in 2016, people were like 2016 exclamation point. So it's a lot of shit happened. It was a lot better than 2015.
Yeah.
So hopefully, hopefully 2017 will be even better.
Even better. Yeah. Did you see what I went back and did today in the daily? I went back and watched some early Divas Revolution stuff.
Oh.
Woo!
Why did you do? Because we some of the matches.
Yeah, some of the matches are
Yeah.
all right. Some of those tag matches are all right.
I would dare watch a segment, not one single segment from
Oh
the
my
thing.
god, they're so bad. And the SummerSlam match with the 3 teams was so bad. Somehow it got 3 stars from Dave Meltzer, which I don't understand because first of all, Charlotte was only in the match for like 12 seconds, so that you can't even give it like that boost. So I did want to mention one thing about that match though. It's really funny. And it's somebody who I miss. I miss Brie Bella because she's weird and kind of silly. And in that match, she was going to do her Brie mode taunt. She was like, Brie! And instead, she just yelled, Brie Bella! I swear to God. You can go back and watch it. You can go back and watch it. It was I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. I was just like, did she really just yell her own name? And she did. It was great. I miss Brie. Have that baby. Come back for us, Brie. We need more Bellas. We need more Bellas in the Fed.
Oh, apparently not, according to some people. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
We will see you guys next week in 2017.
2017.
Once again, if you liked what you saw, like the video on Twitter. I am Militia Malice Joe.
And I am Andrew M. Swift.
And this has been Wednesday Night Shooting. See you later.
Happy New Year, everybody.